What is up, my cutouts? Cardboard Ninja coming at you with the planned balance changes part 2. I, for one, am super eager to see how these walking legs change the game so that we're able to jump and add mobility to the game. It's going to be amazing. Let's get into it. Tengu cooldown time increased from 4 to 6 seconds instead of 7 seconds. And the perk's blocking time after contact with an enemy has been increased from 2 to 3 seconds. All robotic legs. Remove the jumping mechanic. That didn't work. They didn't like it. All shotguns except the Arathon, because fuck the Arathon. Increase the projectile's radius. This is to make it so you can actually hit people with shotguns. Because, like, shotguns initially were hit scan, and shotguns initially had a very long range, like 150 meters. They cut the range down to jack shit, and then in addition to that, they made them, not hit scan. So it's really hard to make shotguns do anything right now. They're kind of dog shit. Hopefully this helps. Hippogriff, perk active time reduced from 7 seconds to 6 seconds. This is instead of the 10-second increase. So originally it was going from 6 to 10 seconds. No. Fuck that. Instead, they need to nerf it from 7 to 6, and the perk recharge time is reduced from 25 to 12 instead of 20 seconds. So originally they were going to say 10 seconds, 20 seconds, so duration and refresh. They're like, no. We want you to refresh every 12 seconds and get 6 seconds of visibility through walls. Fair enough. And then, of course, what I think is one of the more controversial changes and bad changes, the Punji. So if anyone who doesn't know what the Punji is, it is a bad weapon that you never see in the game because it is bad. You place sticks in the ground that people ignore because it doesn't chase anyone, and no one has to get hit by them. So they don't. It's just a bad gun. The Punji active time increased from 25 seconds to 45 seconds. So those Punji sticks are going to be on the battlefield for a long time, unless you destroy them. The recharge time was increased from 8 seconds to 15 seconds, doubling the recharge effectively. Stake activation time increased from 0.8 seconds to 2.5 seconds. Now, this activation time thing, I believe, is tick rate. I believe that's damage tick rate. That is a nerf. Stake durability increased from 30 points to 100 points. So the developers' comments they're saying, well, combining this with the range increase, they're aiming to make the Punji relevant as a guarding tool while reducing its efficiency as an enemy destruction tool. All right, so that is a dumb statement. There's an old saying, the best defense is a good offense. The reason why the best defense is a good offense is because if your opponent is dead, they cannot hurt you. That's a fact. That has always been a fact. That's how the military has worked for years. And I don't mean like 1 or 2. I mean like 1 or 200. Like, the best defense is a good offense. Just straight up. If your opponent is dead, they cannot harm you. By reducing the damage on the Punji, it does not make this a better guarding tool. Like, does that even make sense? That doesn't even make sense. So, ultimately, what they're saying is you can set up, like, a barrier wall. Like, let's assume you're in one of the Tokyo Drift, the Syndicate maps, right? And you decide to set up a couple of Punji sticks to wall off an area. So now, if anyone wants to come through that area, well, they can't not get hit by the Punji sticks because they don't have access to the sticks, because you would obviously put the sticks on either side of the wall where they can't see it. So they have to drive through the electric fence. Here's the thing. They're just going to drive through the electric fence. The damage is low. You nerf the DPS in half. Why would they try and avoid that shit? Just drive right through it and fucking pound you in the ass. Like, what are we doing here? Terrible decisions. Terrible decisions. Stake durability increased from 30 to 100. Who cares? It's effectively nothing. It's effectively nothing in either case. I think that the Punji needs to block projectiles. The end. Story over. That's it. That's what needs to happen. Like, in order for the Punji to be useful, what you would need to do is make it so projectiles hit scans or whatever hits the barrier. And sure, treat it kind of like the Morta, where it's got a certain amount of hit points. Maybe increase the hit points based on the size of the barrier. Who knows? Like, there's all sorts of dumb mechanics you come up with. But right now, you can't use the Punji while running away from an opponent, because they don't have to chase you. They don't have to. They're chasing after you. They're shooting you in the butt. And you're like, I dropped my Punji sticks. Like, oh, I'll just stop and keep shooting you. And then you just die. because they're, you know, ripping you a new asshole with their ranged weapons in this ranged weapon game, and you don't stop, you don't reduce the damage at all, nothing. So if instead of having a damage shield, how about damage reduction? Any shot that passes through the Punji's electrical barrier is reduced. Just reduce its damage by a percentage. And make that percentage larger or whatever the fuck for distance of traveled through the barrier or whatever. I don't know. Like, I can come up with something better than that, but the idea is that at least then it is somewhat of a defensive tool, and people won't find it useful to simply ignore it, right? You could make it like a Reinhardt shield. I mean, I know that you guys might be thinking, well, the Nova's a Reinhardt shield. Sure, except the Nova has got like 200 hit points and immediately pops to under any pressure whatsoever. So yeah, you could make it like a Reinhardt shield. So you could, like, support vehicle, that player who runs around and Crossout with some of the craziest builds, could run around with a bunch of Punji sticks and just start placing walls all over the place. And those walls could be utilized from your team to fire through at opponents while taking reduced damage back. It could even be used in, like, Levy Clan Wars at that point, because people would place down Punji sticks in front of their ad builds, and, you know, damage from the Leviathan would come through and be reduced by, like, I don't know, 30% or something like that. At least that would give the Punji some form of defense, because right now they're saying we want this to be a good guarding tool, but it's not guarding shit. Like, yeah, you can probably put, with the increased range, a Punji stick at any feasible entrance to a base in most of the maps. But who cares? Like, it doesn't, if you made the damage ass, like, who cares? I mean, I can't. I just don't think that's a good idea. What they should do is they should change the tick rate from 0.8 to 0.5. That's like doubling it, by the way. That would double the amount of damage that this thing would do over time. That would prevent people from wanting to pass through the barrier, right? Or leave it at 0.8 or even maybe 1 and give it the damage. There you go. Or, even better, why don't we just do this like fucking League of Legends? Make it Jace Gates. What? Jace Gates? Jace? Who the fuck is Jace? Gates? What the fuck are you talking about? Shut up. I'll explain. Jace has an ability where he places down 2 gates that look exactly like the Punji, and it functions where any ally, including yourself, who walks through the gate gets accelerated, right? And so you get a movement speed boost, right? So maybe the Punji character on your team could place down the Punji sticks, and everyone drives through for a movement speed boost for a limited period of time. I don't know, maybe like 6 seconds of, 5-10% top speed or some shit like that. Because Jace gates suck. If you've played Jace, those gates don't give you very much movement speed. Or alternatively, just steal from League of Legends some more. Any shots fired by allies through the gates get superpowered and get supercharged and do even more damage. And I'm just straight up stealing from League. What we need is a Jinx rocket. Anyway, regardless of how much I'm planning on stealing from League of Legends, there are much better ideas than this. This is a terrible idea. This is a bad weapon and is still bad. Well, I for one saw this coming. The all robotic legs thing. No, they're not going to let us have fun. And, fuck the Arathon. For whatever reason they hate it, it's not going to get buffed. So, hope to see you guys on the test server. Don't forget to play it and vote. Hopefully, you'll be able to vote down some of these changes, especially some of the previous changes that were listed, like the nerf to all turreted cannons, with the exception of the one that's being sold for money, that kind of stuff. But we'll see if the devs listen to us in our surveys, shall we? All right. Keep it real. Peace.